12 people waiting. Holy shit.
Crazy.
Warning. Incoming
Austin
game
sent a
over.
bunch of his viewers over.
Warning.
Austin raid.
Incoming game
Shout out
over.
Austin at the beginning of the show. When you do your intro.
Yes. Well, how about that? How about that? Crazy. Edmonton wins 5-4 in overtime. As we see, the Game Over Edmonton chat is booming. It's happy. It's jubilation. The streets here. And it's Avry here, Ash, holding things down for Game Over Edmonton. And word to our boy, word to our fellow host, Austin, for bringing the people over to come chat. We see the chat is live right now. People are happy. People are in a good mood. And before we get to our first ad read, Ash, just in a word, can you describe that game? Can you just describe Game 2 in a word? Is it possible for you?
Dude, I don't know. Depth. Pure depth for the Oilers. Forever, this team has been called a two-man team. We only have two guys. Nah, the Oilers are the deepest team in the league, bar none. There is no team in the league that has the depth as the Edmonton Oilers. And when was the last time? I don't think you could quite literally ever say that about the Edmonton Oilers and the history of the franchise.
That's the thing. Like, you got to go back a long time to say that this team was truly deep as the ocean. And again, another game, Ash, where the Edmonton Oilers are saved. Another game in which the depth, the secondary scoring carries the load for this team. If you're Chris Knobloch, you're a happy camper right now.
I mean, oh my God, Chris Knobloch is able to run four lines consistently. He's able to trust the players on his team. I know he's just like, he's not a very emotive guy, but he is jubilated at the thought of this roster. You and me have been criticizing this roster all year for our new signings not showing up, for this and that, and we have holes, and we're still waiting for McDavid to show up and, show up with the offense. But my God, surpassed all my expectations. Just wonderful effort from pretty much like outside of the overtime goal. You would say that like the McDry line was probably one of our worst tonight. Like, when was the last time you could say that?
You're not wrong, Ash. This was not a game that was carried by the top line of Edmonton. Of course, Leon Draisaitl got the overtime winner, but this is a game that saw goals from every other source on this team. You saw the fourth line. Edmonton's fourth line had a phenomenal game tonight. That's what you like to see. In the postseason, we mentioned rolling lines 1 through 4. When your bottom six can generate offense like that and do it against the Vegas Golden Knights, that is great to see.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. And I think that like any other team in the league right now is looking at an Oilers team that don't need otherworldly performances from McDavid and Draisaitl to win them games. They're scared. I really do think they're scared. There's very few competition when the Oilers depth can play this good.
Mm-hmm. And before we go to our break, I do want to once again give credit to Calvin Pickard, who made some major saves in that third period and in overtime to keep this game level or keep Edmonton in the game. And we saw Calvin Pickard might have been nicked up. We saw him pushing off that leg a little bit funny. He might have gotten banged up, but played through it, made some massive saves, keep this game level. And once again, you got to give him credit for holding the fort down as Edmonton extends the record for a 6th straight come-from-behind victory, extending their own NHL record. And I saw a tweet from the Empty Netters podcast from Dan and Chris. They said how they don't understand this team, and it feels like they mentioned how no matter what you do, you can't keep this team down. And it's proving true once again, Ash.
Yeah, no, I really think that, like, especially after last year, like, this team is just stepping up. Everyone on this team, from the top guys all the way down, they all believe, they all buy in. There's quite literally nothing like it in the league right now.
No, not at all. And you know what's in class of its own? Hyperdrive hockey. Shift into Hyperdrive and get ready to have some fun with your new source for all the biggest stories in hockey. Bring in a unique style of broadcasting and commentary with a Quebecois flair. Hyperdrive Hockey combines top-tier hockey analysis, big stories, pop culture, and a fun atmosphere that'll drive debate, make you think, and more. Join Max Van Hoot, Daphne Malboeuf, and Kevin Larmay every Monday and Thursday for your fill of the hockey world. You can watch it on YouTube, on the Game Over Network channel, or subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or Amazon. And make sure you, yes, that's you, head to our website, thegameovernetwork.com, for more. So, Ash, going back to start this game, and, again, after the common theme, we've beat it to death before, Edmonton playing from behind, and it was a game where, once again, the Golden Knights struck first. Victor Olofsson scored a power play goal for the Golden Knights. But once again, that has to be a tough feeling where, yes, you've got to jump on this team early, but being unable to keep Edmonton down, that's just going to be a tough feeling if you're Bruce Cassidy and company, because we saw Jake Wallman respond with a slap shot, his first playoff goal. And there's a sense of, has to be that sense of, oh no, here we go again, when you can't quiet Edmonton for more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, and especially if you look for the next game, I'm going to do kind of like a statistical dive on this. Most of the goals, or at least a very large portion of these goals that the Oilers are giving up to start the game, are all on the power play. In the first period, the Oilers did not get outplayed. They were the better team in the first 20 minutes. They came out of the first 20 minutes leading for sure, but they were not like the worst team despite giving up that first goal. And that's entirely because of the penalty kill. The penalty kill lets teams get that first goal up, but in reality, it's the Oilers that are the better team. And it's the fourth line on Jake Wallman's first ever playoff goal. Oh my God, congratulations. It's Podkolzin and Arvidsson with like a beautiful pass around behind the net and back to each other. It frees up the passing lane, and it's a really good screen. It's just a great shot. And then for Podkolzin's second goal, it's Arvidsson and Klingberg. Oh my God, what a revelation. It's this Oilers team. You might get up that first power play goal. The Oilers might start down, but they are never out of it. Especially when the Oilers, take almost an early lead, after going down one. It's kind of like they go up 3-1. It's kind of interesting, I think there's this false sense, like how you kind of said, this false sense of confidence for a team that is not the better team, even though they get that first goal.
No, the resiliency in that room and on that team has been incredible. This team has found ways to not fold up, not give up. And this has been a team that has found a way to say, you know what? We will get that back. They can shake off an early goal and respond, as we saw with the Wallman goal. And Vasily Podkolzin comes in, makes it a 2-1 game. And then you get some offense from Darnell Nurse. We all know Darnell Nurse has a good shot. We all know Darnell Nurse likes to get up in the rush. We all know Darnell Nurse likes to let fire. And he gets his second of the postseason to make it a 3-1 game. And that's another big thing, too, that Edmonton is getting scoring from the back end from other guys named Evan Bouchard. That's a great sign as well, Ash.
It's true. And both of these goals, listen, I criticize the Oilers, especially Nurse and Ekholm, for shooting a lot when they don't need to. It actually, I think if they're just randomly shooting with no intent, it can even cause a turnover. It can cause a loss in possession. And it's something I don't like to see, given that the Oilers take the most D-men shots out of any team in the league. But these two shots from Podkolzin and from Darnell Nurse, they're great shots. Both of them are great shots on Adin Hill. Those were not very good goals to give up. Dude, if Skinner or Pickard gave up those goals, the Oilers fan base would be eating them alive. Adin Hill, dog, what are you doing out there? They're nice shots, but man, you gotta have those. Especially with Colson, he's got 6 points in his last 8 games or something like that. The number one problem with Podkolzin when we picked him up was that he's a possession merchant, he's a cardio merchant, but his offense just isn't there. He can't shoot, he can't pass. He gets all the zone time, but he can't score goals. But he is finding his offense, and oh man, Like people have been saying forever, once he finds his offense, if it ever happens, he's going to be like lights out, just an amazing winger. Look at what he did tonight. Beautiful. Just
No,
it's beautiful.
yeah, great game for Podkolzin. You mentioned Aiden Hill, another game in which Aiden Hill's save percentage is under 900. And again, this is a
Yep.
guy who we saw 2 years ago have a phenomenal series against the Oilers. You fast forward 2 years later, and Aiden Hill has not looked great in this series. He has looked shaky. He has not looked confident. And I know he's number one guy. I know Bruce Cassidy is going to go back to him again in Game 3, but an 8.65 save percentage, that is not a good look for the Golden Knights with Aiden Hill tonight.
Yeah, no, definitely. And when you look at the advanced stats, that's negative 1.5 expected goals to Calvin Pickard, who I think was straight zero or maybe like a little bit under. Yeah, no, it's straight zero. Who would have thought that going into a playoff series against the Vegas Golden Knights, Aiden Hill, Stanley Cup winning goaltender, that the Oilers, without Stuart Skinner, would have the better goaltending? But it's true. Calvin Pickard has been an absolute revelation. And I mean, I can't be happier for the guy. I'm so happy to see him performing this well, and he's so confident. Even some of the goals that he gave up, like they're not the best, but like some of them, he just straight up had no chance. Like the deflection, like one of the deflections we'll get to. But like some of the saves in like the third period or in overtime, the lateral movement, the confidence, it's crazy. We have not seen this from an Oilers goaltender in a while, and I'm really happy to see it. I'm really happy.
Yeah, and that's the one thing you mentioned where I mentioned in the Sinbin LV Discord chat I was in, giving a preview, is that yeah, Callum Pickard has had trouble seeing shots through screens and seeing shots that get deflected. But if Callum Pickard is facing a shooter one-on-one, either on an odd man rush or a breakaway, he is one of the better depth-minders this postseason. He can stand up to a shooter and turn him away. Like, you have to get traffic in front of Calvin Pickard, or he's finding ways to stop that. He's a great goaltender facing a shooter one-on-one or an odd man chance.
No, definitely. And it's just, there's just so much confidence, especially in the second period where, yes, the Oilers do get three goals in the second period. But man, Vegas dominated this period. Absolutely dominated. High danger chances were 11-0 for Vegas. And Calvin Pickard, yes, 11-0. And Calvin Pickard lets in one goal across the whole period. Oh my God.
That is, again, yeah, that second period, that 11-0, you said. 11-0 and high danger chances. Period, yeah. That is wild. That is, I knew it was a dominant period, but I did not think you were going to tell me it was 11-0 in the second period, Ash.
No, it's 11-0. It was not close. And this second period is where a lot of the criticism about McDavid and Draisaitl not having a very good game comes from. It's because of this second period. I think we'll get into it in our next segment, but man, oh man, a lot of concern here in that second period. The Vegas was just hungrier. They had the jump. They had the offensive zone time. It was very, very worrying for the Oilers. And the fact that Calvin Pickard is able to come out of that with one goal against. When was the last time we've been able to say that? Maybe Mike Smith, really, like seriously.
Right? No, it feels like that was the Mike Smith era, but you know what won't give you stress is tapping into the Game Over Patreon. So, are you looking for ways to help an upstart company employing over 30 young sports journalists and analysts across Canada? Well, if you got a few spare bucks kicking around, you can head to our Patreon page at patreon.com/the Game Over Network. There you'll find multiple tiers featuring rewards and goodies for helping us grow. There's extra access, looks behind the scenes, Discord benefits, merchandise discounts, opportunities, give us feedback, and you can join us for special shows live. We can talk to our hosts as we launch more ways to improve your experience. And hey, we know sometimes times are tough, you can't spare a few bucks. Don't worry, we got a free tier for you to still enjoy the fun. And hey, if you really want to help us out, make sure to click like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, rate us 5 stars on your favorite podcast app, and share our work on your social media platform of choice. So again, that's patreon.com/the Game Over Network for some tantalizing goodies. All right, second period time. And I know you mentioned that second period, Ash, and the McDry tandem. And you're right. These two just didn't look in sync when it came to regulation time. It was a
Mhm.
game in which you were relying in almost entirely on the third and fourth line or the D-men to get things going. And I know, again, I know these guys hooked up in the overtime period, but you would like to see them more consistent in regulation, Ash.
No, totally. And I actually think that towards the end of the third period, they had a lot of really, really good chances. And I thought that was kind of when I was like, okay, we're going to overtime, but I'm seeing our top line start to step up and I'm
Mhm.
starting to believe. And Corey Perry, man, he was the best goaltender for the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. I mean, completely saved the game-winning goal with like 2 minutes left. Like, holy shit, Aiden Hill, you got to be sending him those checks because that's crazy. But yeah, no, McDry had a rough first 50 minutes of the game, I'd say.
Mhm.
And the reason why, to me, is I think Draisaitl is not 100%. I think he's very clearly moving very slowly out there. He's not very mobile. And because ideally, the Oilers would want to run McDavid, Draisaitl, two different lines, right?
Of
Like that's
course.
obviously like the ideal, but they can't do that because Draisaitl can't center his own line right now. He's not moving. He's not moving as much as he should, or as much as he like can when he's healthy. And so because they're getting such great contributions from their depth, they don't need to break them up. But yeah, Draisaitl is currently being sheltered because he's not 100%. But even with as that's the case, I still think overall across the 80 or so minutes of this game, I thought they had an average game. Now that's bad by McDry standards, but that's not the worst thing in the world. They weren't a net negative even before we get to the overtime goal. They were just average, which with how good our depth is playing, still wins the Oilers some games. So it's not a huge concern, but it is a concern for our power play because, man, this power play.
Yeah, we can get right to that. Power play tonight, 0 for 3 and 0 for 11, or over 12, sorry, now, yeah, over 12 now on the road in the postseason. And I'm sorry, yes, this team has won. This team is up 2-0, but that has to change. That has to be corrected. You cannot be that snake bitten on the road on the power play. And you mentioned how you think Drive might be hurt, and of course, Leon's never going to say it. Leon could be coming into a game without an arm, and he won't tell you he's injured. That's the thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
he'll never admit it, but that power play just is looking predictable now. You see it. They're telegraphing that play to the net for either Hyman or Perry, and teams collapse towards the net and take away that option. And you see them clogging the shooting lanes for Bouchard. It isn't as dynamic as it was last year, Ash.
No, it definitely isn't. And definitely compared to Nuge's 100-point season, it's nowhere near like that. I think it's two reasons why the power play is suffering right now. Number one, Dry's injured. He is not very mobile. He can't skid around. He can't be a playmaker and then also get into the position to get that cross ice iconic Draisaitl goal. That's reason number one. Reason number two, they're not activating Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. When the power play works at home, because we're 5 for 6 on the power play at home this playoffs, it's because Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is being used as a playmaker, a third option. He's being used as someone who can get into the middle of the ice or the left side of the ice. He's being active, and Vegas has to dedicate resources towards him. Otherwise, Hopkins can score, or that leaves Draisaitl open on the other side. So, but you saw today, even on the 5-minute major that we got in overtime, Nugent Hopkins isn't being utilized. I don't know if that's a strategy thing. I don't know if that's Hopkins playing more passive. I don't know if that's McDavid and Draisaitl under pressure, feeling like they have to make it work right now and they're not utilizing him very much. But that is the main reason this power play is not the 33-40% like all-time power play that we know that these guys can do.
And you
But
mentioned
that's to me why like they're not, you know.
Yeah, no, it is a troubling thing in terms of who they're using in the application. Guys like Nugent Hopkins, and you mentioned the 5 minute major, of course. With this game late, Nicholas Waugh took, honestly, even though in overtime, even though Vegas killed off the 5 minute major in overtime, that was one of the dumbest moves I've ever seen in my life. Nick Waugh cross checked, going for a loose puck in the air, going for a loose puck, cross checks Trent Frederick right in the nose. 5 minute major, game misconduct. Frederick's bleeding. Brother, what are you doing there? Going for a puck in the air and you go for a cross check. That was dumb, stupid.
It doesn't. Why? It's not a heated moment. It's not like Waugh and Frederick have been going at it. It's not a very tense part of the game. There's no reason for it. And, Department of Player Safety is going to spin their wheel, and he's probably going to get a game, I think. And that's not very good for Vegas, losing one of their centers on, I don't have it up right now, but I think that Waugh's line was doing relatively okay. But even if they weren't, losing a center is not very good, especially for a team like Vegas, where, their kind of identity kind of relies on having more consistent lines. They don't have like a McDrive that they can just stack on a top line and have them get all the offense, right? They are much more like a run four lines team, but, if they lose their center, that's very difficult for them.
And this is a team in which, there's reliable options on Vegas. The guys like Alex Pietrangelo, who scored, William Karlsson, Wild Bell. They got points from Eichel and Stone. But when you lose those veterans, like Nicholas Waugh, like that is a team that cannot afford to lose those kind of guys who contribute to your offense. And even Golden Knight fans, I saw in the Sin Bin Discord, even Golden Knight fans were like, that should be his last game of the playoffs. Like that should be his last game of the postseason. Golden Knight fans were furious with that. Like they are saying, like, that is stupid.
Too. I mean, if Matthias Janmark or Adam Henrique went out there and did the exact same thing, I'd say bench for the rest of the playoffs. Doesn't matter if we go all the way to the Cup final. I don't care. Like that. Like you absolutely cannot be doing that. I'd be absolutely livid if I was a Vegas Golden Knights fan. And that's not even to talk about the overtime goal, which.
Oh boy,
I'm
sure we'll get to that here. Also, too, I do want to say that although this game should have ended on that 5 minute major, the fact that power play could not score on that 5 minute major, the fact that they could not, I mean, the first 2 minutes looked just disjointed. It looked like they couldn't get a clean breakout, they couldn't get a pass to the tape, and they were rushing things. Like they were it didn't look composed, and that was a bad sign for me with about 3 minutes left in that power play, Ash.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely, especially when they had to get the second unit out there, they still weren't that composed. Really, honestly, the best chances that the Oilers had on the power play were Pietrangelo fanning on it, and Hyman hits the crossbar right in front of the net with like 6 seconds left to go. Like, that's our best chance on a 5 minute major. Guys, we got to chill the hell out. We got to slow it down. We got to just utilize some other options. I do think Corey Perry on that power play is a very good addition. I really like his presence in that front. I think he does a very good job. But I really think that it's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins that needs to get activated in order for our power play to really be that power play. Because you know what? Game 3, we go home. I guarantee you Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to get at least a power play point in that game. At least. It's a guarantee. I'm telling you right here, it's guaranteed.
Okay, we're quoting you on that one, Ash. Game 3, a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins power play point. We got to quote you on that. Chat, you hear that, chat? Or we're going to quote Ash on that one. But you mentioned the Nugent Hopkins one. That, man, you talk about being the GOATs. If Hyman scores in that sequence, you've got 2 GOATs in about a minute and a half. Would have been Nicholas Waugh and Pietrangelo, because that whiff, that should have been game over right there. Like that should have been the game off that whiff of that clearing attempt right to Zach Hyman.
Yep, and then a little bit later than that, the puck, I think it takes, I don't know if it's a screwed up clearing attempt or if it's a bounce off the boards. Takes a funny bounce, but Connor McDavid hits the crossbar or hits the post. Oh my God. these things, you get anxious, you get worried. Oh my God, so many chances for the Oilers to put it in, and they can't do it. Are the Golden Knights gonna get a cheesy one? Gonna get a quick one on the way back? It's kind of scary. But Calvin Pickard in this overtime, huge saves, absolutely stellar. In this overtime.
Yeah, no, Calvin absolutely deserves his credit. And before we go to third period, we may as well get to it now. Just the sequence that led to Edmonton. Well, first of all, Edmonton getting that chance to score. Of course, we're gonna have some comments on it. The Arvidsson McNabb sequence where Victor Arvidsson gets tangled up with Braden McNabb. McNabb goes down, doesn't get called, and to me, Ash, that could have gone either way. To me, Edmonton was the way this game was officiated. Edmonton was lucky that Arvidsson was not called for a penalty because that could have gone either way. The referees don't call it, and Edmonton, personally to me, got lucky that was missed because that could have been called a trip.
They 100% got lucky. Now, people can accuse me of being a bit of a homer, or I think McNabb was about 75% going to fall down on his own volition. With that being said, Victor Arvidsson does get his stick in there. You can see it's his left leg against the shaft of Arvidsson's stick, and he does trip him up. The Oilers get away with one, which brings the Vegas Golden Knights penalty karma to about plus 70 in their favor. Sucks to suck. Welcome to the real world, Vegas Golden Knights.
Oh my God. And I saw a comment post-game from Bruce Cassidy saying the referees missed it. So Bruce Cassidy not happy at all. I was called. I don't blame him because now you've lost home ice. You lose on a call which you feel should have been called. And now you got to go to Edmonton down 0-2. It's bad. I mean, it's one thing if you had to split. Now you're down 0-2 in a place that has proven has been one of the hardest buildings to win in, no matter who you are. So the backs are really up against the wall now for Vegas going into Saturday night, Ash.
No, totally. I mean, classic saying, you're never worried until you lose at home, and Vegas lost both at home. Now, the natural instinct, and listen, if this happened to the Oilers, I'd be saying this too, is to be like, oh my God, the Oilers only won because, they didn't get called. But dude, we can say this all we want. Connor McDavid absolutely undressed Jack Eichel. Oh my God. Oh my God. To Jack Eichel, this is like the premier defensive center, the matchup, the number one matchup that Bruce Cassidy wants. And McDavid just made it look like nothing. And Draisaitl, who has been slow and immobile all game, puts it in like nobody's business. They do not give this opportunity away. And it's the Oilers that come away with a victory. And yes, they did get lucky, but I think it is a deserved victory. I think people who say Vegas is the better team tonight, I don't think that's true. I really don't. I think you can say they had a better second period, but I think the Oilers are the better team out of 3 out of 4 periods. I think that's just the case.
They've shown it again, and that sequence, Connor McDavid, when you think you've seen everything from Connor McDavid, when you think he has shown you everything, he says, "Now watch this." The fact that he got around Eichel like that just made Jack Eichel look silly. And the dish to Leon Draisaitl, classic McDry. And it was funny, I saw the goal I saw the ESPN feed, and he mentioned Chris Knobloch, usually calm and composed, very even-keeled. After that goal was scored, just a giant grin on Chris's face, giving high fives on the bench. You see Chris just in full jubilation when that game ended.
Yeah, and I mean, on the flip side, you see Mark Stone. The look on his face is going to be burned into my memory forever. He just looks so upset. He just looks so unhappy. Couldn't have happened to a better guy. I don't know what to say. Couldn't have happened to a better guy.
And like seeing those Golden Knight players, that just feels like a sense of, we blew a great chance here. We blew a great chance to take this back to Edmonton with a split. And I mean, again, there's still, it's a best of 7. You have to win 4 games to move on. But that look of Stone, the Golden Knights felt like we just blew a great chance to turn the series around just from the
Yeah.
emotions after that goal.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, like what you were saying, the emotions on the Oilers side, like they looked so elated to have won that game, a game that they did deserve to win. They're up 2-0. They're going home. I think the Oilers are feeling great. I think they're going to go into Game 3. They're going to give up a power play goal about 5 minutes into the game, and then they're going to win because that's exactly what they always do every single time. 7 comeback wins in a row, baby.
See, Ash knows the script. Ash already has the Game 3 script.
No idea. They sent it to me by mistake, but I'm a woman of the people. I'm disseminating it to you all. I'm just telling you like it is.
See, that's called #cinema. And you know what else is cinema? Make sure you tap in and follow us on our social media accounts here at Game Over Network. So if you're enjoying the show so far, you want some more of this, right? Well, make sure you hit the like button, click subscribe on our channel, and make sure you hit the notification bell. So when we go live for Game 3, you know when it happens. If you're tapping into our podcast, please give us a 5-star rating, or if you want, leave a positive review. If you really like us, make sure to follow us on social media platforms. You can tap in on Blue Sky at the Game Over Network. You can tap into us on TikTok, Twitter at Game Over NHL, on Instagram, Threads, LinkedIn at Game Over Network. You can tap into me on Twitter at Avry, Ash at Ash Jubilee. You can also find us on the GameOverNetwork.com, where you'll get news for our upcoming newsletter. All right, third period time. As Ash, I do want to say once again, I gotta give full credit, Ash, to those who, once again, the hardcores who stayed in the moss pit late into the night. I mean, that was one thing I applaud with the moss pit, Ash, is a game could go into overtime, double OT, triple OT. Those folks are staying there. They're hardcore.
Oh yeah, no, I love being in the moss pit. It's one of my favorite places on earth, really, in the playoffs. It's one of the reasons why I love this city. It's just a wonderful atmosphere, and I could stand for the rest of my life if I was watching an Oilers playoff game down there.
Oh man, I was down there. The first one was down there back when he opened up in 2022. I mean, first of all, I'm glad my fingers didn't get bitten, thankfully, but it just felt like a sea of humanity enjoying themselves. I'm glad they started to change things up, try to make it better. But that was one of the smartest things OEG has done, was give people a space to watch the game outside, to try to make a square similar to Maple Leaf Square. But man, that was a fun fan base. It's so funny seeing how every time a game is on US TV, it's so funny seeing the either ESPN or the TNT streams, the broadcast, be mesmerized by it.
Oh no, I mean definitely. Like, I mean, it's just wonderful. Yeah, the Gene Principe opener in the moss pit was just what a man of the people. Like that man as Pope. Oh my God.
You may as well put Gene as a Pope. I know Preston and I got into it after game 1, how Gene got his haircut. But it is so funny how, like I mentioned before in Game 1's post-game stream, how Gene gets a haircut and hockey Twitter just goes ballistic over it.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's definitely, the whole Oilers broadcast is just one of the most beloved teams in the whole league. Pretty sure one of the top posts on the hockey subreddit right now is literally like, oh my God, I don't know what their names are, but like the guys that do the Oilers like broadcast are like my favorite people in the league. People love Jack Michaels and Louis DeBrusque, Louis DeBrusque, get that man a Halls, get that man a Fisherman's Friend. He sounds sick as hell. Please save that man's voice. And Gene Principe, like he is just, he's got great bits every single game. Love him. Wouldn't be an Oilers broadcast without them. I wish that, I'm so happy we get them for 2 playoff rounds this year. I hope, I don't know what the logistics are, but I would love to have them just for the whole playoffs every single year, because there is no one else like them.
Yeah, that's what Louis DeBrusque. Yeah, his voice is getting stressed right now. You can tell Louis been pushing it so far. So hopefully, he gets some ginger tea in him, get some Halls, get the Fisherman's Friends, because he's gonna have another tough game to call come Game 3 back at home on Saturday night.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, it's going to be loud. It's going to be loud as hell in there. It's going to be a wonderful arena, wonderful experience, as it always is. Oilers playoff games are just, I'll never forget Elliot Friedman saying that Game 6 in Edmonton in the Stanley Cup final was the best sporting event that he has ever been to in terms of like the atmosphere and the crowd and the energy. And he was someone who was at Usain Bolt's like 100-meter world record.
Yes.
Like it's real. Like this is what this city is for. It's for the playoffs. It's for games like these, series like these. There's nothing like it. There really isn't.
No, and you mentioned that Game 6. I know I was in the building covering that, and the atmosphere, it got to the point where the sound physically hurt. Like, I was actually in pain in my hands from how loud it was pregame inside that Rogers Place, Ash.
No, I mean, I was out in the moss pit, just crazy, absolutely crazy. Could not believe it.
No, not at all. And seeing more of the comments here post game from the Edmonton and the Vegas side, and I see in the comments, Mark Stone saying how it's clearly a penalty. Yes, we agree it's a penalty. We're probably now down a D-man. It's a dirty play. Now, I would say without a careless play, yes, it was by Arvidsson, got lucky. Was it a dirty play? No, I don't think so. And I'm seeing Oiler fans on Twitter in real time are checking Mark Stone about dirty plays, because we saw in 2023 the Pietrangelo slash to Draisaitl. We're talking about a dirty play. Now, that was a dirty play.
Yeah, I mean, that was like one of the most egregious failings of player safety, I think, in like the last decade. I literally could not believe that only got one game, when that just was straightforward targeting of a star player that took him out of the series. Leon Draisaitl was on a record-breaking pace in the second round for goals in a playoff series, and they target him, they slash his arm, and he doesn't score again for the rest of the series, which I find very interesting. Pietrangelo only gets one game, and then Nurse only gets one game. But that's 2-year-old discourse. But it's just really funny to see like Vegas fans are suddenly all up in arms about, oh, look how the league is treating us. Look how like favored the Oilers are. Like this isn't just how every other team in the league has been treated for their entire history. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you, Ash. And before we head to overtime to handle your questions, your comments, your concerns, your complaints, we got to showcase the Game Over Network line of clothing, y'all, because, hey, if you love something, what better way to show your love for it than by rocking it as apparel? Get yourself a toque, get yourself a hoodie, get yourself a t-shirt. I mean, a t-shirt's probably more fitting right now considering it's the middle of May, but hey, anything helps. Our apparel line has dropped with 3 unique designs. Whether you want to feel the nostalgic pull of the retro scare design, want to make a statement with our established design, want to wear your love for goalies proudly with the live or die by the goalie design, or if you need another pop, a beer, a juice to get you through the summer, we got you covered. Designed by Brady Chalice from Game Over Winnipeg. Use the QR code on stream now and take a look through our apparel store and help us rebuild local sports media in Canada while repping your community. All right. Overtime is here. Your questions, your comments after a fun, tense overtime victory for the Edmonton Oilers. We saw that the chat was bumping. We like seeing that. People are active on a weekday. It's a Thursday night, and people are active in the chat.
It's midnight. And this is like one of the most active chats we've seen all year. This is super nice. Super happy to see everybody out. Super sick.
Right? Oh, we love seeing that. So some of the questions here. One of them from Luke Venables in the YouTube chat. So the Oilers have to be considered the closest to the third round, right? They're tied with the Leafs in games 1, but they're heading home while Toronto's going to Florida. That's a great point. I think I do agree with that, is that it's going to be easy for Edmonton to try and get those 2 wins at home, as opposed to Toronto now having to go to Sunrise tomorrow night.
Yeah, and I also think that the Florida Panthers are a better team than the Golden Knights, and I think the Florida Panthers, more importantly, are a better matchup for the Leafs than the Golden Knights. I didn't see a lot of people talking about this because I saw people being like, oh, I'm like worried for this Oilers team going into these Golden Knights. If we started pretty lackluster against the Kings and the Golden Knights are a better team. Nah. you got to think about how these teams match up against each other. I think a lot of people are leaving on the table. They're ignoring the fact that this Vegas team is, the way they're constructed, the way they're built, much easier for this Oilers team to deal with. And we're seeing it like 2 games in, and the Oilers are up 2-0. And they were both the better team in both of them. I do think the LA was probably one of the harder matchups in the West, despite the fact that they were, the LA Kings.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the big thing I think for Toronto's side is they need Austin Matthews to wake up. I mean, yes, they're getting great plays from William Nylander, Mitch Marner, but they need Austin Matthews to wake up. So that's gonna be the challenge for him going into Game 3 against the Florida Panthers. Meanwhile, Edmonton has shown that their big guns can step up. The depth is there, and again, Edmonton with a great chance to go up 3-0. And you know what though? Even though I had Edmonton winning this series, I did not have them potentially winning less than 7 games. I know it's one game at a time. It's one game at a time, but there was a real chance now, Ash. Edmonton could go up 3-0 on the Golden Knights.
Yeah, I mean, going up 3-0. I don't think the Oilers have. At least I don't think this Oilers team's ever done that. It's kind of like, I don't know. This is I'm during the regular season, I was very cautious. I was very I don't know, but I don't know. This Oilers team just, night after night, they want it more. They play better. They deserve these wins. It's crazy. There's a lot of belief both in the fan base and in the locker room. I don't know. I feel very confident in the Oilers right now.
As he should be. And question from Twitter, Fat Dad Jake chimes in. How will the hockey gods, TM, punish the Oilers for the missed call on Arvidsson? And how many games should Warhawk get for the cross-check, even though he will get none? Fat Dad adds in brackets. That's from Fat Dad _ on Twitter. You know what? I don't... That's a good question. If the hockey gods do want to punish Victor Arvidsson, I don't, maybe he gets away with it, but... That's a little bit of karma, I think, that Goal got. But I don't know if he gets punished for that. But I do think Wad does get 1 game because, I mean, as much as we do call out George Peros, you gotta think he gives them at least 1 game for that because that was just ridiculous, Ash.
Yeah, no, he gets 1 game. In an ideal world, I think gets 2. I think George Peros and the Department of Player Safety are so weak, especially when it comes to stuff in the playoffs. Stuff like this, just it has no place in the game, no place in hockey, and I think it should be harsher than 1 game. But the NHL doesn't want to be seen as favoring one team over the other. So as we saw with Florida, for example, the suspensions and the non-suspension that they've been dealing with, Sam Bennett, anyone, he's going to get 1 game. I would like to see more. And I'm not going to speak on the hockey gods because I don't want them to punish me. So no comment.
Oh, fair enough. Couple more questions we'll get to here on the chat. New Tab Productions on our YouTube chat asks Avry, is the jacket real leather? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, I know, actually, I think it is. I think it is. I'm not sure. I got this jacket in Zara in Honolulu back in 2018. So if I want to verify, I have to go back to Honolulu, and I don't want to do that right now. It's costly and everything going on. So I'm not taking that trip as of right now to verify if it is or not.
That's fair play, man.
And one more question here. Another from Benjamin Harrison. I know we talked about it just now, but yeah, Benjamin asks, was the Arvidsson stick responsible for the ugly crash into the boards by McNabb? And I think we both agree that was a bit half McNabb already falling, half Arvidsson's stick. And again, that was a very bang play, which could have gone either way. That could have gone either way, and Edmonton escaped. They're going back home in a 2-0 lead. But I do think now the officials are gonna be watching it like a hawk now. I think Game 3 is gonna be tightly called again for both teams now, which is obviously, of course, the response. There's no consistency in officiating. This league has no consistency, which players hate. That's the one thing players will talk about, is that what's the standard? What is the standard gonna be? It can't be called one way and called a different thing in the next game. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's not just players. This year, penalties are down across the league, and you saw GMs at the GM board meeting. I know we talked about this during the LA series, but
Yeah.
GMs also hate that the penalties are down and that they're not calling it by the book, and they think that that they just don't like how the NHL seems to be conducting its penalty calling and its player safety. But as we know, it's not the GMs who have the power in the situation, it's the owners. And so if the owners think that everything's fine, nothing will change, and no one can get rid of the owners. So guess we're shit out of luck.
And I see a comment here from Luke. You're trying to predict Department of Player Safety? Yeah, you're right. My fault. How dare I try to think that that department should actually, be consistent with a violation. My bad for hoping that actually is consistent in punishments. Because as we've seen before in this series and Toronto, Florida, it could be a fine, it could be one game, it could be nothing. Who knows what George wants to do? Who knows?
I really think the main thing, 5 in a game is usually going to be a 1-game suspension. Especially even in the playoffs, I really doubt something like a 5 in a game getting away with a fine. Most of the times we see Department of Player Safety absolutely whiff on something. It's something that was not called, something that was 2 minutes. If it's a major, especially a major like that, it usually gets suspended, and they can only seem to be able to do 1 game because they're not the Toronto Maple Leafs. So 1 game it is.
Yeah, it probably is going to be 1 game. And with that being said, we're going to wrap things up here on Game Over Edmonton. Thank you all for tapping in on what is now officially a 2-day show. It's now Friday morning now, as this game went past midnight for the post-game show. But hey, make sure you tap in on Sunday night. We're going to have a special show for you, coming from a new location, a new sponsor tapping in Game Over Edmonton. You don't want to miss that post-game show for Game 3 with myself, Ash, and possibly Graham Mosimann as well too, tapping in post-game. So make sure you're there. Game 3 from a new location will reveal very soon. For Ash, I'm Avry. We are out of here. Talk to y'all again on Saturday night.
Yeah, see y'all.